a Sooner win. What did you think of Oklahoma's performance versus Maine? Good morning, by the way.
Good morning. Well, first of all, wouldn't it be called the blank show if there's no blank? I mean, the blank. We're gonna have to get on him for. I don't know. He's probably got something far more important, but
he's had some plumbing issues at the house or water issues at the house, so he was sorting that out. So he's got a reasonable excuse this morning.
That's fair enough. Obviously, just giving some good fun. I want to just first off, thoughts, prayers to everybody who was affected by the storms late into the night, early morning, Saturday into Sunday, and then. Yesterday, I know that there was a lot of school canceled and we were all watching our TVs, keeping an eye on it. Did we avoid anything devastating? I know I watched quite a bit, but I didn't see much. But if anybody was impacted or affected by some of the weather, thinking about you, just an odd time here as we get into November dealing with weather. And especially, I know I was gone. I was not back from my game yet, Josh, but the tornado sirens and everything going off woke up my wife and my oldest son, so they were up through the night watching those storms come through. So just always scary anytime weather affects us, but clearly at nighttime, man, it really adds another layer to that. So just wanted to start there. And, man, it feels nice to talk about a Sooner victory. I don't care if it was against Maine. It doesn't matter. I told you guys last week, you need something just to feel good. You just need I typically hate these. I've kind of talked previously in years past about these SEC schedules and these games, that show up in November against directional schools or a school like Maine, and I've been very critical. I was thankful that this was on the schedule when it was. I mean, I thought that could not have come at a better time, and it was exactly what Oklahoma needed to kind of recalibrate, reset, feel good, get some positive vibes, some positive energy, and have some success. And we saw a lot of success on both sides of the ball. So I think that you're now in a good headspace, and I think you're going to have some guys playing with a little more confidence as you head into what I think it's a very winnable game this week at Missouri. I don't want to be overconfident for Oklahoma, but I feel probably better about this game from a matchup perspective and just overall as I have any SEC games so far this season.
Well, we've got obviously so much to dissect from the Maine contest. Dusty Dvoracek in the house right off the top with us on this Tuesday. But the Missouri game, I think they've got a great chance to win as well, Dusty. And if you get into the numbers, what the odds makers are saying out there, looks like the odds makers think that too. What do you make of that early line being what it is? I think it's Oklahoma as a 1-point underdog right now. So it's basically, it's essentially a pick 'em.
I thought it would be somewhere in that neighborhood. I had Missouri against Auburn a few weeks back, so I've got a chance to see this team up close and personal. I thought it would be around Missouri minus 2.5 or 3. I did not think it would be over a field goal. So I'm not shocked. It was a little bit leaner than what I thought, but I think that's because I think the odds makers, to your point, see or anticipate similar to what we're thinking, and just an opportunity for Oklahoma to get another road victory here in SEC play. So I have not seen the status of Brady Cook. That'll be something to definitely keep an eye on. If Brady Cook is out, and pardon me if he is, I think that's substantial. Drew Pine, he's had some experience at Notre Dame, but he cannot run this offense or function at the same level as Brady Cook can. So I think that'll be, something to really keep an eye on. He had, in the game I did against Auburn, he hurts his ankle, and then he wasn't supposed to plays against Alabama, and then he hurt like his hand or his wrist, something with his hand in that game against Bama, and didn't return. So I don't know, exactly what his status is for this game, but definitely something to keep an eye on with that. If he's not in this game this week, then that's problematic for Missouri's offense. It's had all kinds of struggles so far this season.
I think when you start breaking down what we saw offensively from Oklahoma versus Maine, you got to start with what we saw in the backfield from Jovantae Barnes. How about that explosion? 2 bills, 3 touchdowns for Jovantae Barnes.
I've been telling you guys for a while, even going back games when the production wasn't there, I just liked what I saw from Jovantae Barnes. Just thought he was playing with physicality, thought he was running hard. What I really liked about this game, he was finally making some guys miss. And I think that that's what's been lost a lot this year with that backfield, like making a safety miss, making an edge defender miss, and we saw that several times. He was awesome. He was absolutely awesome. And, boy, that second drive after you go down 7-0, and I obviously was not there, but my phone was blowing up, light up like a Christmas tree. I would imagine there was some angst inside that stadium. That might be as important a run as I can remember. The 74-yard run down to the 1, because once Oklahoma went down 7-0, I got to imagine there was near panic setting in there in Norman and around Sooner Nation. And I thought, what I liked about that's just a counter. And I thought they blocked it up very well. You had a crackback on the safety. It was a really good cut by Jovantae. He makes the corner miss and he hits the sidelines. And I thought that probably allowed everybody to breathe at least a little sigh of relief in that moment. So I just thought that was a huge play and very important run at the time for Jovantae. But I thought all throughout the course of the day, whether it was zone scheme runs, I thought he was really good on a couple of the counter scheme stuff we saw, whether it was backside tight end and guard, whether there's offensive tackle and guard. They ran a couple different variations of some counter. Thought he had good patience allowing those blocks to set up and quality burst through the hole. And again, just the ability to make guys miss. It was probably the best we've seen from him, which was reflected with the 200-yard performance.
So, sorry I'm late, Dusty. My bad.
I want in the break, okay? I want you to give me 15 push-ups.
You got it.
Okay?
I already did 15 today, so I'm up to 50. So I'll get you 50 here. How's
all right,
that?
I want my 50.
For
and
being late.
You got to go out in the parking lot, and you got to give me a couple of down and backs, okay?
Okay.
And then we'll call it good.
We'll get loosened up and ready to go.
How we doing, buddy?
Good. It's just one thing after another. I don't know anything about wells, and I live off. Have you ever lived off a well before?
I have not, but
Okay.
I know our lake house has a well, and I just cross my fingers and hope and
Every
pray
single
that
time that it works.
bad things don't happen.
Does it smell
I don't
like
know.
someone just took a dump in your water? So you're talking about Jovantae Barnes, and
Yes.
I want to go a little bit deeper on that.
Please.
Because it's like a 180. Here was a guy that I think it was fair to say you questioned, how's his vision? Is he seeing things as well as he should? He almost like he runs to contact. But it's almost mid-season, Dusty. You've seen a complete and total shift. So, is that a nod to DeMarco Murray? Is that, what can we equate that to? Or maybe he's just starting to see things better.
We can all agree. We preface everything we talk about here was they're playing an inferior opponent, right? I don't think we have to,
right,
use that as something we mention constantly. But look, I thought Jovantae at times has done some really good stuff. You're right. I don't know if the vision has always been fantastic. I've been asking to see some more broken tackles, but the effort I think has always been there. The physicality, whether he's blocking, I think it's been there. And I thought in this game in particular, he just did a better job running through some arm tackles. He had a couple of nice. Put his foot in the ground. Sure, you can give DeMarco Murray credit for that, but I think a lot of this is probably just Jovantae Barnes growing up a little bit, just playing better football, and good on him to make some adjustments and recognize that, if they block it up and I can make that initial defender miss, there's good chunk yards to be had here. So I also thought that, I thought overall the offensive line did a nice job.
I did too.
Thought that the they didn't run as much of it, but the counter scheme stuff, there was some holes there, man. And again, I think it's also timing. I thought especially there was a second nice run he had on a counter. He was patient with it and allowing your blocks to set up, and then all of a sudden now you've got some some area to run, and you can accelerate, and good things can happen. So I just he has not played a lot of football. I mean, he's been banged up. I think he's getting more and more opportunities, and it was great to see. What I'm hopeful for is that he can, that can be a jump-off point to a certain degree. That can really help his confidence, and you start to make a couple of guys miss, and hopefully he sees that, he feels that, and that'll be a sign of things to come here down the stretch of the season. But that was I told Josh, I don't know if you heard me, I thought that 74-yard run was one of the most important runs I've seen in a while.
Yes. No, it was. The place was panicking, dude.
Had to have it.
It was panicking.
Had to have it. And he rips that off. So it's good to see. Does that mean we're going to see that for the rest of the season? I hope so. But I think it's important to make guys miss, see yourself on film making guys miss here down the stretch of these last 3 games.
I don't know how in depth you got to go in the film, but
I watched till about play. First of all, I want to just say this.
Go ahead.
The way I watch these games back, I watch the coaches' film. The anthracite uniforms are great. You know what they're not great for?
Telling
watching
numbers,
film, dude. I mean, half the time, because I know there's some different. We can get to some of the offensive line play, but it took me forever to figure out just some of who people were on both sides of the ball. When the back's to which would be the south end zone, where I believe the camera is, it's a little easier. Mm-hmm. But the other way, it's just like, what am I looking at here? So that's just a little complaint by me as I'm watching the film back. I think there was 80 total snaps of offense. Mm-hmm. And I went to about play 65.
Oh, okay, perfect.
And I think on defense there was 65 snaps, and I got to about play 58.
Perfect. Because
I watched quite a bit of it.
Okay, good. I want to ask you about a guy on the interior. And I don't know how much you care about PFF grades, but highest graded game for David Stone. Again,
yeah.
Everything is prefaced with, we know it's Maine, but is he starting to look a little bit more the part? Does it seem like he's starting to figure some things out?
Well, it was by far the most we've seen of David Stone.
Right.
I mean, he just got more opportunity throughout the course of this game. What I guess, obviously the club on the hand that kind of allows you to only use one hand, hand fighting and getting that punch, being able to get off of blocks. But I thought he stayed active. I thought he did a good job laterally. Whenever, not just getting vertically up the field, but working laterally and creating disruption. So you work lateral, then you get vertical. Thought he did a good job in a couple of those spots. So it was by far the most we've seen him. And I thought he did a nice job. I don't know what his PFF grade was. I think he can still work to get his pads down, which I would say for probably just about every defensive lineman that I look at. But it was good to see him out there, have some success, and play. I actually thought, and I know he's not necessarily a young guy, but I thought Sears played really good. We hadn't seen him play quite as much. I thought he played with a ton of violence. He was someone else that kind of stood out to me. But no, David Stone, thought he did some really good things, and I was glad just to see him get the opportunities, because there's been a lot of time this year where he hadn't gotten those opportunities, and I think to get out there, have some success, get some action, that's only going to help his confidence as well. I'll tell you, for a guy that I think it's important that he continues to take a step in the right direction, I thought PJ put some really good stuff on film.
Oh, good.
I thought that was important. He had a couple of nice rushes that I liked. First of all, I don't know why you try to block him with the tight end, but they did that a couple times. He came down inside and he kind of slipped on the rush, but I just saw tremendous quickness. He worked inside from over the tackle to on the guard, and I thought he showed some real quickness in the run game. Thought he did some good stuff, just with some strength. Did he get banged up at all? Yes,
ankle.
Is he going to be okay?
Don't know. And we'll get an update at 11:30 today. Okay. There wasn't too much of an update on the coaches show last night, but yeah, it was. And Miguel Chavis had told us a couple of weeks ago that he had really been battling and he was finally healthy. That was, I want to say heading into South Carolina, maybe even Ole Miss. But so now, a couple weeks later, boom, he's hurt again.
Because he was, he'd come in situationally for a couple of pass rushes here and there, but he played a lot of snaps, and I thought he did some good stuff. So I was really happy to see that. He looked big, looked strong, looked quick. As you said, he looked healthy. So I'm hopeful we get a positive feedback on his health status, because I thought for a guy that you want to continue to see mature, grow, and improve, I thought you saw some really good steps in the right direction from him. 44, that's Taylor Wine, right?
And I like him a lot.
I thought he showed a couple of nice things, getting vertical in his pass rush. Thought he did a good job with his hands, winning over there on the edge. So I thought that was another, positive thing to see. So, Maine's offensive line is not very good. I thought the front did a fine job. One thing that I want to see more of, I would have liked to see more of it in this game in particular. Like, they wound up getting 3 sacks, but I believe all 3 sacks came on pressures. I'd love just to see if you could just go 4 down and just win up front more consistently against a team like that in true pass rush situations. I thought they won a lot in rundowns, but that would have been one thing that stuck out. Like, you didn't see just and again, this was a game which is a perfect opportunity for other guys to get some work in. And he didn't play a ton, but boy, our Mason Thomas, he looked quick. He had a couple of nice rushes. He made a play against a run. It was only I think it was a no gain, but I think they put a tight end on him, and he stacked the tight end up, just a stack and shed, and came inside, made the play right at the line of scrimmage. And he continues to look better and better to me. Like, he just seems like he's made that jump like we had hoped. And you've seen it obviously with some key rushes, Tulane, Auburn most notably, but throughout the course of the season. But I just think I know what he can do on the edge against the pass. When I see him doing that against the run, that just tells me he's really becoming a very well-rounded defensive end that you would hoped you had seen so far this season. So, overall, the first drive, you give up that quarterback run, a little read zone. That I think that I thought that just from an alignment standpoint, they get kind of outflanked and they give up that chunk run, and then they really put the clamps on. They gave up the big pass play late in the game. Looked like it was Jacoby Johnson, and it wasn't like it was bad coverage. I thought that was a pretty good passing catch. But other than that, I mean, I thought the defense, I thought it was a good effort. I don't want to say it was just incredible. There weren't quite as many negative plays as maybe you would have thought. But overall, I thought that after an initial scare from the Maine offense, I thought the defense settled in and played well.
All right, but let's get a break. Dusty Dvoracek is in the house with us early this week, but we've got playoff rankings tonight. So let's get Dusty's thoughts on what he expects, plus your text questions next right here on The Ref.
There's no late morning lull on The Ref. Nobody brings you the caffeinated shot of sports talk like The Plank Show with Chris Plank and Josh Helmer. Every day from 9 to noon on the home of Sooner fans, The Ref Radio Sports Network.
Obviously, the questions are lining up for Dusty Dvoracek here on The Ref, so we'll hit your text questions at 405-651-3439 with Josh on Plank. Dusty jumping on early with us, and we're going to talk a lot more about OU and Maine, but how about that offensive lineman, that freshman, Eddie Pierre-Louis, getting a chance out there? He looked good.
Do you know who David Bennett is?
Why does that sound familiar?
Well, David Bennett was the former head coach for Coastal Carolina.
Oh, yes. I remember the interview.
Do you remember the press conference when he talked about, we need some dogs?
Yes.
I want dogs. I love that. I love that little nugget from him.
I do too.
I mean, he's like, I don't want any cats. Meow, meow. Right? I want some dogs.
Want some dogs.
Well, you know what it takes at the line of scrimmage, Plank?
Dogs.
Dogs. Absolute dogs. I don't know, and I've heard about Eddie Pierre-Louis. Everybody's been asking, when are we going to see him? When are we going to see him? We got a chance to see him. I think he played probably on 30 snaps. I don't know exactly how many he played. He played more than I've seen him play by far all year. And you know what I saw?
What's that?
I saw a dog. I don't want to encourage personal fouls, but Yum, give me some of that. I mean, not only does he get his initial block, because what I love is guys that play through the whistle. I hated going against offensive linemen that played through the whistle. Not to the whistle, not just before the whistle, but through the whistle. And at times you got to dial those guys back. And, I'm sure there's probably I'm sure deep down, Coach Bill was mad that the 15-yard penalty happened, but I guarantee he loved every second of it. I guarantee you, whenever he watched that film when he got home, he's like, yes. Yes. But he's a dog. He plays a physicality, finishes people. And I don't want to promote violence.
That's right.
But football is a violent sport. And it is tougher and tougher, I think, to find players that play with true physicality and violence. And Eddie Pierre-Louis got that. So I love that aspect. I don't want to act like he's just – I thought he was – it's kind of like a movie reference, kind of like on Roadhouse. Oh, yeah. Remember Dalton?
Oh, yeah.
Thought you'd be bigger?
That's right.
I thought he was bigger. I'll be honest. I thought EPL was a little bigger, which is fine. Not a bad thing. But I thought he was a little bigger, just body type, which you can add on that. And I think that he's a young guy, obviously, and he's going to have to get his pads down a little bit. I mean, you can't just muscle everybody, and this is Maine. It's not SEC defensive linemen. But just from a mindset, violence, physicality, dog, I love what I saw, man. I really did. I
liked it a lot. And I don't know how much we can really tell yet from some of the other young guys that we saw. Isaiah Autry-Dent, he played a lot of snaps over at right tackle.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we're seeing another young guy in Logan Howland, Dusty, that is
played better.
Yeah.
He played better.
Good.
It was, good to see him play better. I thought Ozida had his best game. Again, that maybe, is Ozida just getting better the more snaps? Is it reflective of the competition? Maybe both. But, I mean, all I'm going to do is talk about what I saw. I thought he did some good things. We saw Spencer Brown. Do we have any kind of update on Tarquin? I'm sure that'll come today. I don't know if Coach said anything in the coach's show last night.
Yeah, he didn't really elaborate, but it was a rolled ankle in practice, and he was there on Saturday. He was just in a boot.
Okay.
So
I mean, we hadn't seen Spencer Brown in a while. He obviously returned to the party, and he was solid. I mean, he didn't do anything wrong. I do think Michael Tarquin is a better option at tackle. But, I mean, overall, I thought that group did a good job. I thought that, they opened up some nice holes, play with some good physicality. Wee-Woo thought he was solid once again, so that was good to see. Obviously, that's been a group that's been under fire. It's good to see some young guys step in and get some action. But you're right. Howland was better. Ozida, I thought that he did some good stuff, and really good to see a couple of those true freshmen step in and start to get a glimpse of what the future might look like.
Let me hit you with some of the text questions, and then we'll wrap with your playoff thoughts. And again, I'm so glad we were still able to find time today, man. Okie Phil asks a good question.
What up, Phil?
Dusty, is there a reason why we don't run under center for the quarterback on second or third in short yardage and show some misdirection and or bootleg? I see other schools do this against us, and it seems to make the defense have to make more reads and in-play adjustments. I don't remember running under center much since the Kevin Wilson days. Didn't we talk about this the first week, and you were laying out how you would talk to Dan Mullen, and you guys went back and forth on this?
Yeah. There's part of me that's with Phil, okay? It baffles me how many shotgun teams don't get under center in short yardage situations. But there is a lot of offensive people that know a lot more about offense, being successful, quarterbacking, that if you major in shotgun all the time, they feel that it's, there's more harm than good to ask only in certain situations to get under center. Do I think that you should always be able to get under center and be able to push the pile for a yard? Yeah. I do, but it's not just Oklahoma. I was at Texas Tech, Iowa State over the weekend, and they got the ball first and goal from inside the one, and they line up in shotgun. I mean, it's just a lot of gun teams and offensive coordinators if they're in gun, all the time, they don't want to mess around with getting under center. Do I like that? No, I don't love that, Phil, but it's not foreign. It's not something that Oklahoma is some outlier. It's actually, I'd say, somewhat commonplace in college football for teams that majority of the time are always in gun. They don't. A lot of them don't have under center packages for short yardage, and I'm with you. I think that they should, but they don't.
Brazilian Sooner, what did you think of Jackson running some option plays? Thought it was missing earlier this season. Feel they can get better with it.
Yeah, I thought he missed a pitch after the big Barnes run. And then was it Franklin that put it on the ground? I didn't think that was on. I didn't think that was on. I thought it looked to me like, again, when I'm watching on film, it looked like the pitch is where it should be. It just like Franklin dropped it. So, yeah, I mean, I'm fine with a little option game. I like that. The one to Franklin I liked a lot. It's two back. You kind of, I think you initially fake the inside zone, then you just run option. It's really a triple option in that regard. So I thought that was good. I just think that we've seen, Jackson Arnold he's an effective runner out there on the edge. And as a defense, you've got to account for that. And, I don't know if he's going to rip off a 70-yard run, but, even before Michael Hawkins stepped in, we saw him be able to affect the game with his legs, and I think that getting him on the perimeter with option as a possibility, I think it makes a lot of sense. That was good. Just obviously that ball can't be on the turf, even though it's not
right
on Jackson. If you're going to run option, I mean, you got to make sure the ball security is of the utmost importance. By the way, the throw to J.J. Hester, wow,
that was legit, right?
Wow,
that was legit.
I don't think Jackson Arnold is perfect. I will say it sure seems like he's improving. I think that, I think Kevin Johns and Joe John Finley deserve some credit here, man, because we're seeing a more confident Jackson Arnold. I even think in, the RPO stuff, he's making quicker decisions. It's not all perfect, but I think I saw him getting the ball out quicker against Maine than I had in a lot of situations. So I thought that was good. But then just like if you're ever wondering, for anybody, it's like, well, how is this guy the number one quarterback ranked? Go put that play on. I don't know how many guys moving to the right can make that throw and that placement in that spot. That was a wow throw, to say the least, from Jackson Arnold. That just shows you. And you don't want him always having to do that, but the fact that he can make a throw like that and make it look so easy, that was a big time throw. It was also smart of J.J. Hester, too, because Hester sees him go into scramble mode, and he converts that route, and he starts to get vertical, and he works his way open to give Jackson that outlet down the field. So did I read – I think I read this.
Go ahead. I got you.
Was that the longest pass play ever at Owen Field?
By an OU player.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, by an OU player, yeah.
I got to make sure that clarification is made, since that record is held by a Tulsa Golden Hurricane.
Okay, see, look at you bringing facts to the table. So that's the longest pass play on Owen Field by no. That's a pretty nice little thing to have for J.J. Hester. I mean,
absolutely.
That's cool. I didn't know. I thought I had read that, but then I was like, surely there's been something longer. That's cool. Good for him.
So I'm going through the playoff rankings. Oh, hold on. I'm sorry. One more I wanted to get to here. I apologize. I'm going to give you two here. First, Sean writes, amazing what a dedicated quarterback coach can do for a quarterback. And then John and Blanchard. So, Dusty, do we have a chance Saturday? I definitely think so if we have our wide receivers back, or at least a wide receiver back. That's John and Blanchard.
So two things. Number one, I'll touch on what Sean said, and again, and when Seth was hired, I thought I was happy about it, and I still am fine with what they did. The one thing that surprised me though, Plank, and from the moment it happened, is when he was going to be the quarterback's coach. Mm-hmm. He never coached quarterbacks,
right?
That was the one aspect that I never understood. So Kevin Johns has, and it sure seems like that's that's been beneficial. So that's good. It's Tuesday, and I don't want to come in here with just some over bravado. We can get more into this matchup tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I think Oklahoma wins this game. I don't think that they have a chance. I think they win. I think Oklahoma is. I think they match up very well with Missouri, and I think that again. I think that the way everything played out, where that Maine game fell right before this game, I don't think it could have come at a better time. I think this is a team that's going to have not overconfidence. I don't think that by any stretch they feel that they have arrived now that they beat Maine. But sometimes, it's kind of like in basketball. I say you just want to see the ball go through the hoop.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And you just get that confidence. I think they needed to see that run game get going. I think for Jackson Arnold, back-to-back weeks where he's having success, throwing touchdown passes, taking care of the football. I think the defense is going to match up very well with what they see from Missouri. I think it's going to be a competitive, hard-fought game, but call me crazy, and I've been nervous about a lot of games this year in SEC play. I said this earlier before you hopped on with Josh. This is the most confident I've been for Oklahoma heading into an SEC matchup so far this year. So does that guarantee a victory? No, but I think Oklahoma matched up very well. So yeah, I don't think they have a chance. I think they're going to win this football game.
I like that. I've stopped it because I felt that way before Tennessee too.
Oh, did you?
But then again, I get mad. I'm like, gosh, if they just protect the football. Hey, we're getting the first 12-team playoff rankings tonight, and I know you got to get, but it seems as if all your cohorts at ESPN are pretty consistent in the 12 teams. We'll see some debate whether it's going to be SMU or as a second ACC team or Alabama. You expect any surprises tonight?
So I guess I don't know about it, surprises. One question I have, I am curious, and Rich Clark, who is now the executive director of the playoff committee. He's came and spoke to us at our ESPN seminar in July, and I heard him on game day to kick off the season. And a couple of things that stood out to me from when he spoke to us, and he was consistent with Reese Davis on game day. That strength of schedule is going to really matter. Like that is something that they are really going to be part of the equation. So where does that come into play? And I ask that because Indiana has 103rd ranked strength of schedule, but they've blown everyone out. I'm curious where Indiana falls. I'm curious where BYU falls. And, the other thing that they had talked about with the rankings was, strength of schedule is going to be a real factor. And the other aspect that he had touched on was best versus most deserving. And that is obviously, that's something that can be disputed. That's something that can be argued. Obviously, resume, who deserves to be versus who do I think is better. And he was very clear, this is best, not most deserving. So is that only going to come into play in the final rankings? Do we see that come into play tonight? And I think that'll be, I think SMU deserves to be ranked ahead of Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Who do I think is better? Alabama's better. So that's where I don't know how things like that will shake out. And I'm intrigued to see what the committee does tonight. Another one I'll throw at you, Boise State.
Yep.
I think Boise State deserves to be in the top 12 tonight. It may not matter because if they're the highest ranked group of 5, they're going to get their spot anyway. But, I think that they got to win this year over Washington State, who's, by the way, in the top 20. And we'll see if they're in the committee's top 20. But that's Washington State's only loss. They've got to win over Washington, got to win over Texas Tech. And then Boise State, you could argue they've played Oregon even better than Ohio State. They outgained Oregon in Autzen. And it took Oregon having not one but 2 special teams touchdowns to beat the Broncos by 3. So I think Boise State is another team that I'm just intrigued to see how this community views them. But the only thing I can guarantee about tonight's unveiling, there's going to be a lot of people upset no matter what they do.
Oh, that's right.
It's going to be fun for the debate and the discussion for us tomorrow.
That's right. Have a good night, Dusty. Thanks for finding time for us, brother.
All right, boys. We'll see you.
See you.